Okay, kids things.
I hate because you have a background on, you just fucking suddenly appear. I was like looking down at my notebook, like I was writing something, and then suddenly you're just fucking there again.
Welcome to View from the Top of the Goalpost. We're back after a week off. We had to take a little bit of a vacation, but that's okay. I'm Diesel, your host, joined as always by Chad. How you doing this week, Chad?
I am good. A very happy Halloween to everyone, as this episode will be dropping on Halloween. So, hope you're enjoying the holiday festivities. And I won't lie, us being off was totally on me for last week, as I was on vacation in North Carolina. And you know what? Just felt like a good time to take a little break. Everyone needs a bye week.
Yeah, well, um, speaking of Halloween, it's really weird because to me, it feels like Halloween is over because we had trick or treating this past weekend in our town. So,
Uh,
like, I went to Walgreens yesterday and all the candy was already 50% off. And it's like, it's not even Halloween yet. That's crazy. But small
I
town
will
living, I
be
guess.
I would say I will be trick or treating later tonight with my children. So,
Well, yeah, back to the show. Even though we didn't record an episode last week, we still made our picks because that would be foolish of us not to. I did
I'd be like
not
us
have
not
those.
picking week one of an NFL season for some reason.
Well, because we didn't have the idea to do this show until after week one, which because we're geniuses.
Yes.
But I didn't do as well as I've been doing the last couple weeks. Last week I didn't get to six after only having one loss 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I went 12-3, and this past week I went 10-6. We don't need to say what Chad did last week because or 2 weeks ago because he did not very well. But this week he did good. He went 12-4. We had two head-to-head games this week, and he got them both after the week before having six head-to-head games and not winning a single one of them. Yeah. You did good this week, and you're also climbing back up closer to 500 because you're only one game under now. You're 61-62, and I am 79-44. Well, I'm sure you still made locks and bets last week. So, how did those go?
Yeah, I'll quickly run through it. 2 weeks ago, I won't go over everything I did, but I went 7-8. So I also had a terrible gambling week, as well as a terrible picking week against Diesel. But last week, we actually did pretty good. I'll run through everything. I started a brand new lock this last week. It's called the Cat Scratch Fever Lock, and it goes against whoever the Lions played the week before. Because if you look at the numbers this week or this year, folks, if you play the Lions the next week, you got a sickness, and it's because you're tired, you're beat up, and you just lose. And
You know,
so
does
with
that
the cat
cure
scratch
though?
fever, huh?
You know, does that cure though? Packers, because they have a bye next week.
Yeah, that's true, but it didn't help Dallas. They still lost this week after having to play.
But
So,
that's Dallas.
but yes, the cat scratch fever lock went on the Los Angeles Rams, who did win on Thursday Night Football. I took Baltimore -9, which clearly didn't hit. I took the under in the Tennessee Detroit game because I didn't realize that Detroit would make the over by themselves. And I also took the over in the Indianapolis and Houston game, which didn't hit either. And then Green Bay for the Emerald Lock didn't hit the -4.5. But then, boy, oh boy, folks, did I go on a run because I hit the over in the Miami Arizona game, the over in the Jets New England game. The Raptor lock was on Atlanta at -2.5. The Bronze lock was on the over in the Philly Cincinnati game. We had the under in the New Orleans LA Chargers game. The Silver lock was on Buffalo -3. We had the Washington money line for another bonus lock. The South Carolina lock was on Denver at -9. We unfortunately got the under wrong for the Kansas City Las Vegas game at 41.5. But then the gold lock of the week was San Fran at -4.5, which we got right. And finally, Pittsburgh at -6.5 for the final bonus lock of the week, which means last week I went 11-5 overall for locks, which brought me to bonus locks being 21, 20-1. So officially winning there. The heart lock, I didn't pick one last week because I didn't feel that strongly about anything. Still 3-3. The Raptor lock is 5-3. The last chance / need to win lock, I didn't pick one last week, but that is still 3-2. The Suck It Carolina lock is 5-2. The Cat Scratch Fever lock is officially 1-0. The Emerald lock is 2-5, basically a death sentence for whoever I put it on. So I'm sorry for the team it goes on this week. The Bronze lock and the Silver lock are both now 4-4. And finally, the granddaddy of them all, my most confident pick every week, the Gold lock is 6-2 on the season. So once again, if you're gambling with me, folks, you are definitely winning some money at this point.
You were 1 week off of putting your heart lock on New England.
Yep.
If you would have done it this week, it would have been a better decision, but didn't work out for you.
Did not.
Do you got a heart lock this week?
I do have a heart lock this week.
Okay. I'm interested to see who it is. I guess we should just get right into picking games. We have 15 games on the slate this week, and I'm not going to forget to talk about the buys because this week we have 2 teams on buys, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who won on Monday Night Football, and the San Francisco 49ers, who won on Sunday Night Football. Both those games were weird.
Very weird on both accounts.
But, let's pick some games. So starting with Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime at 7:20 on Thursday, Halloween, we have the 6-2 Houston Texans traveling to the 2-6 New York Jets. Somehow the Jets are favored by 1.5 with a 42-point over-under. But 86% of the fan differential is on Houston, which they should be because I don't know why anybody would be picking the Jets. I don't know how they're the favorites. Like, they are a cursed team, and they have nobody to blame except for Aaron Rodgers why they are so bad. Like, the defense is doing their job, and Houston's winning this game. They had a tough-fought battle against Indy this week. It was a division game. They had a tough-fought battle against the Packers 2 weeks ago. I think this one's going to go a little easier for them. And I want to see the Jets put up a fight, but I think Houston's going to be scoring points, even with the Jets' defense being so good. And I know they don't have Stephon Diggs. He's out for the year now, which sucks. And they're still missing Nico, but I mean, a healthy Joe
Mixon.
Joe Mixon. I don't know. I said James. That's what threw me off. Healthy Joe Mixon is a really big thing. I got Houston.
Last chance lock, folks. Last chance. Okay? This Jets team. I mean, okay. You're in New Jersey, once again, at home. This is week 3 with the A-Rod and Devontae Adams team, duo getting back together. Breece Hall seems to be picking his head up out of his butt. If Nick Folk just could remember how to kick a mother effing football, the Jets probably would have won these past 2 weeks. I'm picking the Jets. And once again, this is the last chance lock that I have. I think the Jets season is over. Once again, we haven't done our hot takes of the week, but let's see, for what week was that? For week 6, one of my top takes was knocked out before half, and the Jets were on that list already before week 6, and they've lost week 7 and week 8. So I still think their season's over, but I think they get the win here because I like Houston a lot, But now without Stephon Diggs and no Nico Collins, this offense, I don't know if it cooks like it should, especially against a really good Jets defense. I don't think this game is pretty. I don't think it's a fun game to watch. I think this is once again a shitty Thursday night football game. But in a slop fest in New Jersey and just snorting cayenne pepper on the sideline, I think Rodgers somehow pulls off another miraculous primetime victory. He is very good in primetime football usually, so fuck it. I don't know. I mean, you got the Jets. I swear to God, if you don't win this game, I don't care. I am not picking you the rest of the year. I don't care if it's the most obvious thing ever and you play against a team that sits their entire squad. I am not going to pick the Jets one more time the rest of this year.
Yeah, their division is already done with. Like, the Bills have already won that thing. It's crazy how this is the same thing that happened 2 years ago when the AFC West was supposed to be like every team had a chance of making the playoffs, and the only team that came out was the Chiefs. This is the same exact thing, and I hate it.
It's not fun to watch.
It is not fun to watch. So we got our first difference on the board. So
we don't like to agree on Thursday night football games. We have that tends to be a lot of our head to heads.
Yeah, that was one of them last week,
and
I got it wrong. But moving on to the first game at noon on Sunday, we have the 5-3 Denver Broncos traveling to the 5-3 Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 9 points, which I think is a little bit much. And the over-under is 45.5. 92% of the fan differential is on the Ravens. Who do you got in this game?
Yeah, I'm with the fans. I think that Denver has been once again, before the season started, we were both high on Denver. We both thought we were Bo Leavers, and then the first few weeks happened, and I definitely got off the train. But I can't say that I haven't, considered hopping back on the Bo Nix Express because he's fun to watch, guys. He's efficient. It's not the prettiest of football games. I mean, it's, nothing cool. It's not like they're the high flying offense or anything like that, but gosh dang it, they just win the games. And as Brandon Perna calls this defense, the council or whatever, I think that's what he calls it, some no-name defense, whatever, they just don't give up points. I think that in any other situation, I would give Denver a real shot in this game. But I think Baltimore coming off that shocking game Hail Mary by Jameis Winston loss is going to come into this game angry and at home. And I think Baltimore, I don't think they win by 9.5, but I think Baltimore wins this game. And with a bonus lock, give me the under 45.5 because Baltimore's defense might be kind of not the greatest this year, but I think this is a classic get right game. And I think both defenses play very well. And we have a low scoring affair. But Lamar and King Henry and the newly acquired Deontay Johnson and Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And look at how many people I am naming. And I could keep going if I really wanted to on that offense. So I just think Denver is a very solid team this year. But the Ravens, after a surprising loss, are going to be coming for blood. And Denver just happens to be in their way.
Yeah, I do have one thing that I want to contest that you said. I don't think that was a Hail Mary by Jameis Winston. I think that was a complete blown coverage in a situation where you can't have blown coverage. Like, that was insane how wide open he was. And, I mean, Jameis Winston, has always had an arm. And accuracy has been an issue for him, but not when people are wide open. like he is, I know we're not talking about Cleveland right now, but he is so much better than Deshaun Watson. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Both first overall. No, never mind. No, just one of them was a first overall pick. I got Baltimore in this game too because I agree with you that they're angry. Denver, they still need to add pieces. Like, they're not there yet. They're a young, scrappy team that still might fight their way into the playoffs. But this is going to be a really tough game for them. And if they can come out on top of this game, I think then we might have to start talking about Denver being a real threat in the AFC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if they go into Baltimore and win this game, that's a hell of a statement right there.
I don't like the 9-point spread. I think that's a lot. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Baltimore win by 2 possessions, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see it be a closer game and like a low-scoring game, like you said. Yeah, but I got Baltimore in this game because they should not have lost last week. They had that game won, and that blown coverage ended or ruined it. And Lamar Jackson did everything he could at the end of that game to try to get him back in it to win it, and just didn't have enough time.
And if Kyle Hamilton, I know you play defense, bro, but stop fucking dropping game-sealing interceptions, okay? That's now
the play before.
Yeah. Like, stop it. You've done that multiple times this year now. Catch the fucking ball. Like, dude, come on.
And help the team out. It was like one of those where, like, he had it and then dropped it. Like, It wasn't like, oh, went through my hands. No, I don't know how he dropped it. Like, it was in the breadbasket. Then it was on the ground. It was like, yeah. So anyways, moving on to our next game at noon. We see the 4-3 Los Angeles Chargers traveling to the 2-6 Cleveland Browns. The Chargers are favored by 1.5 with a 43-point over/under, 65%. The fan differential is on the Chargers. I am not. I am on Cleveland, and a lot of because of what we kind of already discussed a little bit. I think Jameis Winston brings a whole new swagger to this team. Like, they played a lot better with him as their quarterback. He was way more efficient, and I mean, they beat Baltimore. And I know it's a division game, but like, still, like, that's a big win. And like, and you can say that Jameis Winston was the reason they won that game too. I don't know. I just feel it feels different now for some reason. Nick Chubb is still testing the waters. He hasn't had bad games yet, but he hasn't had his Nick Chubb game, which I feel like is coming. And I'm not sold on the Chargers. I like Ladd McConkey a lot. He was a really good pick this year. Justin Herbert doesn't have enough weapons. Dobbins has really slowed down. Defense has been hit or miss. I don't know. I just have this feeling, taking analytics out of it too, just have this gut feeling it's Cleveland's weekend.
I got the feeling
to win. So I got Cleveland in this game.
I disagree. I am clearly taking the Chargers in this game. Yeah. And this will be the bronze lock of the week. Once again, the Chargers are a different team now that they have John Harbaugh as their coach. Their offensive line is mauling people. And I know that J.K. Dobbins might not be lighting it up, but he's still averaging like 100 yards a game and a touchdown. And if Ladd McConkey is going to do this kind of shit, I mean, you're right. The Chargers are a weapon or two away from really being a Super Bowl contender, but they are definitely in the upper echelon of the NFL right now because this defense, while isn't top, 5, I would definitely say is a top 10 defense. And I still say this Browns defense has taken a massive step back this year. And why that is, I'm not exactly sure, but just seems like a lot of the good defenses from last year just don't have it this year. And the Browns are one of them. And I just think that the Chargers, once again, will run the ball down Cleveland's throat. And Jameis is a hell of a gunslinger, but Jameis is a gunslinger. And there was a few dropped interceptions in that game. I don't know if the Chargers do drop those interceptions. And thus, I am going with the LA Chargers. And we have our second disagreement of the week.
Like I said, I just have a gut feeling, and that's just what I'm riding. Like, you could be right. I mean, I could get this one wrong, but I don't know. Sometimes, like this season, when I've had these feelings, I've been right more than I've been wrong. So, saying.
That's true. I mean, your record shows that your feelings have been much better than mine.
Moving on to the next game, we have at noon the 6-2 Washington Commanders, NFC East leading Washington Commanders, traveling to the 2-6 New York Giants. The Commanders are favored by 3.5 with a 43.5 point over under, and 95% of the fan differential is on Washington. And before we do our picks, like, how amazing was the end of that game? Like both sides, the Bears fumbling at the goal line, giving it to their backup center.
Yeah.
And then coming back down, driving down to get the go-ahead touchdown with 23 seconds left and a timeout. And we talked about this, not this past weekend, but weekend before in text, like how important having one timeout is in the 2-minute drill, no matter how much time left on the clock. And Eberflus is a moron. Mm-hmm. Like his
fire him. Fire the whole coaching staff.
His explanation of why, like, not giving up, or why giving up those extra yards before they go for the Hail Mary shouldn't have mattered, because you're playing to stop the touchdown, is like the stupidest thing ever. If he can't throw it far enough to get a touchdown, then it's null and void.
I was gonna say, if they're 10 yards farther away from the end zone, that tip ball doesn't go into the end zone. You see, it's on the 10-yard line, and then Noel Brown probably gets tackled.
But I mean, what are the odds that this guy's taunting the fans? He's the one who runs over, tips the ball into the waiting arms of Noah Brown in the end zone. Like,
the world is a simulation. We're but playthings for a higher being.
Oh man, that was awesome. That was a great finish, and you know that I wasn't mad about it because the Bears still suck. And I like this Washington team, and and Caleb Williams played like shit.
Yeah, just
saying. We're not talking about them. Who you got in the Washington versus Giants game?
I mean, this is a quintessential game where I could see the commies screwing up and giving up a game to the Giants, but
the Giants defense is no joke, for real.
I would say Brian Burns, as much shit as we have given the Giants about trading for Brian Burns and why the hell they did it in the first place, because they are nowhere near a team that is competing for anything right now. I mean, it's definitely working. That D-line is fucking nasty. They lead the league in sacks, but I got to go with the commies here. They are fun to watch. Jaden Daniels is just lighting it up. Scary Terry and him he's finally got a quarterback. They seem to be on the same page. I mean, week after week, they're connecting on like 50, 60-yard bombs. They're not getting it in the end zone. It's so annoying. They keep getting it down to like the 1 or 2 yard line every time, and then Scary Terry gets tackled. But I mean, I love watching it. They are a fun team, and that kind of Hail Mary is definitely something that I feel like a team can rally around. And I think they will come out with another fire this week. And the Giants are just the Giants. They are hot garbage. Daniel Jones is not good in any sense of the word. And I mean, their rookie running back, Tracy Jr., is a lot of fun to watch. And if Daniel Jones can get the ball to Malik Neighbors, he's also real good. But yeah, I just think the commies win this game. They're a class above the Giants.
Like, seriously, if the Giants had a quarterback, they'd be able to compete in this division, for real. Like, it's kind of frustrating to watch. Like, because this defense, like I said, is nasty. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. I mean, Jane Daniels hasn't really scored a lot of points, but they win. And that defense is playing for Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn knows how to get defenses to play. Like, look how much worse the Cowboys are without him as their defensive coordinator. Like, they were top team in the NFC for like 4 years straight. That defense was scary. Now he's gone and they suck. Yeah. And now all of a sudden Washington, who don't really have very many big name players on their defense, is playing amazing. Dan Quinn is a good coach. They're playing for him. He reminds me, he's in a weird way, he's the opposite of Dan Campbell. Like, he has this quiet confidence where Dan Campbell will go out there and say that he's going to bite your kneecaps off. Dan Quinn will just like look you in the face and like, that, oh, he's for real.
Yeah.
Like,
he's got that little bit of a scary, just very Tywin Lannister kind of fucking thing going on.
Yeah, I like Washington. I really want them to win this division.
Of all of the teams in the AFC or the NFC East, they are the team I hate the least. So let's go, Commies.
Agreed. Moving on, next game at noon, we have the 3-4 Dallas Cowboys traveling to the 5-3 Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are favored by 3 with a 52-point over-under, and 74% of the fan differential is on Atlanta, because that is the right move to make. I have Atlanta in this game because Dallas sucks. They don't have a running game. They have an elite wide receiver, and Dak's not bad, but Ferguson isn't performing as well as he did last season. It's Jerry Jones has lost his mind. And we didn't get to talk about this last week, but his comments about Derrick Henry not doing as well for the Cowboys if they would have signed him as he is for Baltimore is just saying, like, Derrick Henry would make your team worse. Like, I don't know, in a roundabout way. No. Like, you would have paid Derrick Henry and you have CeeDee Lamb, you would probably be 5-2 instead of 3-4.
Oh, they'd be leading the NFC East without question. We would be talking about the Cowboys' Super Bowl chances if they had Derrick Henry without, I not even a doubt in my mind.
And then you got Atlanta on the other hand, who is starting to gel. Kirk Cousins is classic Kirk Cousins. I really like watching that guy play. Even when he played for the Vikings, I didn't root for him because he was a Viking, but like I was always a fan of him when he was in Washington, and he's a Big Ten quarterback, which I always like too. But I really like watching him play. I'm glad he's in Atlanta now. Like, there's so many weapons in that offense, and they're finally using Kyle Pitts. Finally, I knew they were gonna this year. Getting a new head coach, I knew they were gonna. Kirk Cousins spreads the ball around a lot. Bijan is the last 3 weeks is just his stats are going up and up and up. Like, the defense though is kind of scary because some days they show up and they're going to shut you down. Last week they were playing a depleted Tampa Bay team and they almost let them come back. But
Baker gonna bake.
If you can shut down CeeDee Lamb, it's over. So I got Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. This is the Raptor lock of the week. Give me the Atlanta Falcons. Folks, once again, this is the Atlanta team that I talked about at length before the season started, and I have been talking about all year about how great they could be. They are coming into form. I mean, so many weapons. London, Mooney, Pitts, freaking slow-ass Algier, Bijan Robinson. I mean, and that defense, once again, if they could just figure out a way to get some consistent quarterback pressure. My God. I mean, Jesse Bates in the secondary is carrying that entire defense on his back. And like they can get turnovers. They just can't create pressure. If they could get some pressure.
What about old ass Jake Matthews?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about old ass Jake Matthews as well. But yes, I love this Atlanta team this year. They are clearly in the driver's seat now for the NFC South after sweeping the Bucs and Carolina being Carolina, and also the Saints being the Saints this year. So they have basically their playoff spot locked up. Now it's time to just keep building, keep retooling, figuring out how to get stronger, stay healthy, and just keep trying to get a higher seed, because if the playoffs go through Atlanta, it's going to be hard to beat them in the Georgia Dome. They're a scary team at home, and I think they make Dallas look kind of stupid here. Don't get me wrong. Dallas will probably score some points in the fourth quarter during garbage time like they do every week, but I think that Atlanta wins this game clearly. Raptor lock of the week. Eat those points. I don't even care if it gets up to 4.
I'm curious to see if Atlanta might make a move on defense before the deadline. Just saying, like they could improve on defense. I don't know who they would get or what they would upgrade at, but I could see them maybe making a move.
I definitely could see him trying to make some kind of move on defense. I don't know who's available anymore at this point, but
not any wide receivers, that's for sure.
Not a one.
The last one just got hurt last week. Christian Kirk. Everyone was calling about Christian Kirk. Well, not anymore. Moving on. Next game, we have the 2-5 Miami Dolphins traveling to the 6-2 Buffalo Bills. The Bills are favored by 6 with a 49-point over/under. 94% of the fan differential are on the Bills. I really feel like the game against Arizona for Miami last week was a must-win because they've already played the Bills once and lost to them. If they were coming into this game 3-5 and upset the Bills, or it went 3-4, upset the Bills, they would be right back in the thick of this division. But I think it's over. I really do think the Bills win, but that's my pick. But who do you got?
I'm also on the Bills this week. I still don't think they are a Super Bowl contender. I think they are a very good team in the AFC, which is a lot more wide open than we probably would have thought it was before the season started. But I think they are definitely a few pieces away from being an actual true, like, oh shit, this team could definitely win the Super Bowl this year. That being said, Miami is just falling apart. And even with the return of Tua, which was supposed to be what brought them back together, they lost to the Arizona Cardinals. And don't get me wrong, you all know how I love and feel about the Arizona Cardinals. But that, as Diesel said, without question, was the definition of a need to fucking win game. Like a no-loss situation. You could not lose that game, and you did. And now you have to go into Buffalo, who are hot. Hot. Josh Allen's cooking. James Cook is legitimately cooking. And these Shakir, Coleman seem to be rounding into at least solid wide receivers. And this defense that Buffalo has is opportunistic AF. I mean, I think there are points scored in this game. As the silver lock of the week, I will take the over 49 points in this game because I do think Tua will put up a fight in this game. I think the Tua-Tyreek connection, we finally get another touchdown from Tyreek, I feel. But I don't think they have enough to hang with Buffalo for 60 minutes. So give me Buffalo in this game. But with the silver lock of the week, give me the over as well.
Yeah, it's crazy how Josh Allen finally threw his first pick last week. Week 8. 8 games into the season before he threw his first pick. That is nuts.
For the gunslinger Josh Allen, it's one of the, like, this NFL season, I know we say it every year, but this has been a super weird year. I mean, honestly, there's been such a weird, teams have been really up and down, and quarterbacks and play. I don't know. This has been a weird year.
There's been a weird vibe.
Yeah.
Some's got to give. I don't know what it is, but something's got to give.
The referees. That's what's got to give.
What's that?
I said the fucking referees.
Yeah. Flag? That's the greatest thing, by the way. I love that. Moving on, noon Sunday, we see the 2-6 New England Patriots traveling to the 1-6 Tennessee Titans. Titans are favored by 3.5 with a 38-point over-under, but 53% of the fan differential is on New England. Who do you got in this game, Chad? Because I think I know who you got.
Well, with the second ever Cat Scratch Fever lock of the week, give me the New England Patriots. And folks, I don't need those points. Give me the money line. You know what? I don't care if it's Jacoby Brissett or Drake May. And Drake May play. They said it's a possibility, and especially if Drake May plays, I love this money line here. But New England coming off a big win against the Jets. And did it help the team at all? Nah, not really. It's probably a terrible thing. Losing or beating the Jets was horrible. It's going to put our draft pick way up there. We're going to be not instead of the top 10, we're probably now going to be in the top 15 at the best.
But if you win 2 games a year, you want it to be against the Jets.
Exactly. So if the 2 games that we win are against the fucking Jets, then A-okay in my book. But this week, the defense looking pretty good still. I mean, we might be trading away players, but we're still getting pressure, still getting turnovers. And this offense, especially if Drake May is back there, I don't know. I kind of like the kid. I wasn't real high on him before the season started, but the little bits and pieces I've seen of him this year, you know what? I'm not saying he's like the next coming, and I'm not saying, oh gosh, Super Bowl run coming up here, but I think he could be good. And I like watching him play. And Tennessee, folks, what? It's going to be Mason Rudolph starting at quarterback for him. Woo! And don't tell me you think Calvin Ridley is going to go off again for another 100 yards, okay? That was because the Lions did not give a flying fuck in that game. They were running hook and ladders and all kinds of other crazy shit. They were like, sure, Calvin, you have yourself 100 yards. You're not scoring a touchdown. We don't care. So I don't think Mason Rudolph's very good. This Tennessee team is hot garbage. And I think New England coming in here off a great win. Tennessee is going to be banged up as fuck from that cat scratch fever. So give me that money line and put your money on New England this week, folks.
Well, Mason Rudolph is better than Will Levis. So there's that. I also have New England after they played a good game last week. The Jets played bad, but New England played good, even after losing Drake May. Jacoby Brissett kept it all together. And I agree with you. I like Drake May. That kid has talent. And I don't even think we've scratched the surface on what he can do. It's a shame that he doesn't have any pieces around him, and they need to build this team, which isn't usually favorable for a young quarterback, but give him time. That's the thing that's missing in this day and age in the NFL. We used to let quarterbacks develop. We used to give them more time, but you're shaking your head there, and you just kicked Mac Jones out of New England. But no,
that's because Mac Chucklefuck Jones was terrible, and we all know that he didn't need time. He was bad to start with.
May is better than Mac Jones for sure. Yeah. I'll give you that. But I think some quarterbacks need time, and there's a quarterback we'll be talking about that is being benched in Sunday Night Football. We'll wait till we get to that game. But yeah, I think some quarterbacks just need a little more time. So if he doesn't he doesn't win games right away. Don't be a non-believer, because I think this kid has talent. He reminds me of Baker Mayfield, but like better.
I'm not even kidding you. We have not talked about this at all. That is the exact comparison I have been thinking about Drake May this entire time. Like he has a little bit of that cockroach feel, and that's why I love him.
I feel like he's more talented. And you know how I like Baker. Like I feel, but sometimes that talent goes untapped. You need to tap into it. But yeah, I got the Patriots in this game, and it's not going to help their cause. This will be a top 5 pick. So, and who knows? Maybe they'll trade up. Moving on to the next game at noon, we have the 2-6 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to the 3-5 Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 7 with a 46.5 point over under, and 94% of the fan differential is on Cincinnati. And like, even with them being 3-5, it is not over for them. That loss to Baltimore last week was huge. Even though they couldn't capitalize and win themselves, that loss from Baltimore kept them in this. I know the Steelers are leading in the division, but I mean, that's just a matter of time. I feel like Baltimore will eventually catch them. I guess I don't know, because the Steelers are playing some pretty good football. Only 3 games away from securing that Mike Tomlin under 500 record, which we both had in our preseason saying that's not happening this year.
Everyone had that as not happening this year. Everyone said it. It wasn't just us.
I like the Steelers team, but that's here nor there. I got Cincinnati in this game. Las Vegas, they don't have a quarterback. They don't have a running game. They have a good tight end. They have a good edge rusher. But other than that, I got nothing. I got Cincinnati because they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and okay running back duo, but they don't got a defense. But they won't need it this week.
Nope. I love Gardner Minshew as a person. He seems like a dude that I would just love to, have a party with and just drink and hang out, maybe go to a bar or something. But as an NFL quarterback, like, nah, bro. I'm sorry. This Raiders team, every week I know they played Kansas City tough this last week, but folks, they always play Kansas City tough. It's their Super Bowl. It's their only game of the year that they truly get up for. And last year it worked. They won on Christmas. It was a Christmas fucking miracle. Didn't come through this year. And I just think that this Raiders team is just going to keep going just straight down now. And if I literally don't think they'll win another game the rest of this year. So yes, give me Cincinnati in this game. And with a bonus lock, I will eat these 7 points on Cincinnati, because I think you're right, Diesel. They might not have been able to capitalize this last week, but watching the Browns take down the Baltimore Ravens was huge. If Baltimore wins that game, it basically locks Cincinnati out of the playoff perspective here. Now I think Joe Burrow said it himself. They have to win 7 out of 9, which I know seems like a lot, but their schedule isn't the toughest, and they still are the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, I know that they just can't get out of their own damn way, but if they do, they're a damn fine team. So give me Cincinnati in this game, and let's just keep watching the garbage fire in Las Vegas burn.
I mean, it's very possible that they could go on a run and be an 11-win team. I mean, there's 9 games left. If they won out, they'd have 12 wins. So nobody is effectively out of it mathematically yet.
Nope.
But I wouldn't be shocked by that, because there's a lot of talent on that Cincinnati offense. And I mean, they've been to a Super Bowl before, so they know how to get it done when in high pressure situations. I wouldn't be surprised to see them go on a run. But that loss for Baltimore last week was huge for Cincinnati, and it keeps them in it. But yeah, I don't think this was a no-brainer though, because like you said, Las Vegas is just they're gonna have a new head coach next year. And
They are.
sorry, Antonio Pierce, but it was a mistake.
It was. It was definitely an overreaction for not hiring the other interim head coach that took him to the playoffs.
Rich Bisaccia.
There we go. I knew you would know the name.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the Packers special teams coordinator.
I knew he was that's why I knew you would know his name. I could not think of it.
And he's also part of the reason why Josh Jacobs came to Green Bay. So thank you, Rich. Moving on to the next game on Sunday at noon, the final noon game. We have the 2-6 New Orleans Saints traveling to the 1-7 Carolina Panthers. New Orleans is favored by 7.5 with a 4.5 point. No, that must be 45 point over under. I must have put the decimal, or else it's 40 something and a half point over under. I don't know. I screwed up there. 88.
43. I have 43.5 written down. So
we'll go with that. 43.5 sounds about right. With an 88% fan differential on New Orleans. Who do you got in this game? And I mean, obviously, it's a lock time.
It is. It's the Suck It Carolina lock. Because once again, give me the New Orleans Saints here. Yeah, they're not very good this year. But you know who's coming back this week? Mr. Derek Carr. Come on down. So, yeah, Carolina's starting Bryce Young again. They are... If the Raiders weren't, it's legitimately an honest, I don't know who is the worst team in the NFL is, only because both the Raiders and Carolina are just so bad right now. I mean, it is truly, I don't know. Carolina at least has a semblance of a running game, but God, I just have nothing nice to say about Carolina. I mean, I don't have a ton nice to say about New Orleans either, but it's a division game. New Orleans tends to dominate Carolina, and they have for many moons. So, yeah, I will eat as many points as you need me to do, and I will be taking New Orleans in this game to once again mop the floor with Carolina and just shit. I don't even know what Carolina does at this point. You gotta start from the ownership down and just, I guess, clear everything out.
I wouldn't get rid of Dave Canales just because he's a new coach. I would probably get rid of everybody else. I would, obviously they're going to have top 3 pick this year. You got to start fresh. I don't think it was fair for, Dave Canales just wanted a head coaching job. I don't think it's fair for him to get the boot because he inherited this horrible team. Give him a chance to build something. Let him draft his quarterback or whatever he wants to do. Let him build his team. But, they need a new owner. They probably need a new general manager. But, yeah. Remember when New Orleans was 2-0 and they dominated the Cowboys?
Yeah. Remember when they scored 91 points in the first
2 weeks?
Yeah.
They scored all their points in the first 2 weeks. Yeah. I don't feel like I'm going to be picking New Orleans too many more times this year. But this one, with Derek Carr coming back, this should be a cakewalk for them. If it's not, then fire Dennis Allen now. Because, let's get honest. He's not going to be their coach next year to begin with. So might as well just get it over with.
He already survived not being the first head coach fired this year. So, you're doing better than we thought you would, Dennis. So good job for you.
I'm proud of you, Dennis. Be well.
Moving on to the late afternoon slate. Our first game is the 4-3 Chicago Bears traveling to the 4-4 Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are favored by 1 with a 44.5 point over under. Fan differential is 53% on Chicago. But I'm going to surprise you, Chad. I'm taking Arizona in this game.
What?
I don't believe in Caleb Williams. He makes too many mistakes, and for every there's one play a game that the media picks out from him and oh my god, you see that sidearm throw? He looks like Patrick Mahomes. It's but did you see his stats and how awful they were? And just
He looks like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I don't
But
know. I mean, Arizona has won back-to-back games off of field goals. I feel like that's what's going to happen again. I feel it's going to be a third week in a row. It's going to come down right to the end, and Arizona is just going to edge them out, kick a field goal to win it. I don't think the Bears. I think these Bears fans are nuts. Sorry if you're a Bears fan and you're watching this, but like you're overhyping yourselves, and you need to like take a breath because this team isn't what you think it is. Like, yeah, they've had a good start, but they have a horrible coach, and any Bear fan will tell you that Eberflus should have been fired last year. Yeah. Maybe you can make something out of this team going forward. This isn't the season for it. Like, they don't have the right coaching staff in place to develop Caleb Williams. And yeah, even though I'm not the biggest Kyler Murray fan, who I think you can actually you can compare Caleb Williams to Kyler Murray in a lot of different ways, except Kyler Murray makes more than just one good play a game. He'll make like 2 or 3. Like,
it's like a handful.
A lot of picks too, but Kyler Murray is better, and just don't like the Bears. This is another one. I just have this gut feeling it's going to be Arizona.
I'm of two minds of this game because I told you a few weeks ago when I put my last chance lock on Arizona, and they lost. Every time I pick Arizona, they lose. Every time I pick against Arizona, they win. I have picked against Arizona these past 2 weeks and watched them win by kicks from Chad Ryland, the former Patriots kicker, who, with the way he's kicking this year for the Cardinals, I officially know last year was officially a tank job, and he was in on it because he missed so many fucking field goals last year that were so easy that there's no way this is the same guy.
How do you think I feel about Anders Carlson with the 49ers?
Yeah. That's a real kick in the nuts. I'll tell you, I feel you. I feel you very hard on that one. But I'm picking Arizona in this game. I'm going to bonus lock, eat the point. Everything that you just said, Diesel, I completely agree. I like a lot of pieces of this Chicago team. I do think they are on the right trajectory. I don't hate Caleb Williams as much as you do, but I don't like him either. I think that I think he'll be a middling quarterback where he won't be in the bottom 10, but he'll never be in the top 10. He'll be right in that middle gray area where you're like, I don't know if you're actually great or if you're actually terrible. You have very up and down games. But they have no offensive line. Their coaching staff is a fucking joke. And they have to go on the road to the desert, which is never a fun time. Like, it's not fun going to the desert. No one likes going there.
Who we thought they were. Now that I say that, I pick the Bears.
But yes, I'm taking Arizona. I like Kyler Murray. They have one of the best tight ends in football in Trey McBride right now. Marvin Harrison Jr. Is looking good when they actually give him targets. Every time he has targets, more than, double-digit targets, he's at over 100 yards in the game. Every time they don't target him, they lose. So give the ball to Harrison and Trey McBride, and James Conner is still a real fucking man. And I don't know how he keeps doing it. He is old and no one gives him any respect. And he has been doing it since he was with Pittsburgh, and he just keeps on going.
I thought he was washed 3 years ago when they got rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. And this Arizona defense has actually been playing solid. They're not great, but they've been holding their opponents to under 20 points. So I like Arizona at home. And I just see that Kyler hopefully makes less mistakes than Caleb. And that's how they win the game. So bonus lock, I will eat the point, and I'm taking Arizona.
RIP to Denny Green, by the way. Like, that's one of the most iconic post-game press conferences ever. They are who we thought they were.
You want to crown them? Crown them.
Man,
We had
I
him.
remember that game. I remember, like, this was back in the day when SportsCenter was still good. Like, watching SportsCenter after the game, watching the press conference live. Oh, man. That was a good game. Arizona had like one win that season. The
Yeah.
Bears were
Oh,
good
they were a
then.
garbage fire team that year. They shouldn't have been
And
in
they
that game,
came
but
out and they had like, what was it, like a 26-point lead or something like that.
something like
And
that.
the
I can't tell you
Bears,
exactly.
yeah. And the Bears came back and beat them. And oh man, classic game. If you don't know about that game, look it up on the YouTube machines. I'm sure somebody's covered that game. It's classic. And I'm not even a Bears fan, and I'm a fan of that game. Our next game at 3:05 on Sunday is the 2-6 Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to the 5-2 Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 7.5 with a 45.5 point over under. 97% of the fan differential is on Philadelphia. Who do you got and why?
I am taking Philly in this game. And with the Emerald Lock of the week, I will eat those 7.5 points because Jacksonville, you suck. And I know this is a revenge game for their coach. And I know that Jacksonville played tough against the Packers, but that was at home. And the Packers just have a weird thing that goes on in Florida. They forget how to play football in Florida. I don't know why, they just can't do it. So I'm not going to put a lot of stock into that game. Philly, on the other hand, that team seems to be finding their footing. And shit, I don't like their team. I really don't. I don't like the Philadelphia Eagles. They just piss me off. I don't enjoy watching them. I don't enjoy the tush push. I hate everything about it, but it works. It's annoying. Jalen Hurts had freaking 3 rushing touchdowns, and Saquon Barkley is just running the ball up and down the field. And if this defense gets going like they did last week, they'll make a lot of noise in the NFC. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles. I was calling them the Phillies at home. The Emerald Lock of the week. I will eat those 7.5 points. And maybe I am hoping that the Emerald Lock is a curse and that Jacksonville somehow does win this game. And you know what? They're green too. So maybe it's a double curse. but yeah, I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles.
So now you know what I go through every week. I struggle with Philadelphia too because Phillies just rolls right off the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, the Eagles. I also am taking the Eagles, but yeah, Jacksonville did play good last week. They didn't. Well, they played good. I mean, the Packers didn't play their best. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars definitely played up to their competition. An injured Jordan Love for the first 3 quarters of the game really benefited Jacksonville. And the second that they took him out of the game, it was a totally different story. Yeah, Philadelphia might be my least favorite team to watch this year as well. I just don't like. I like AJ Brown, but other than that, I'm not a fan of any of their players really. I like their coach is my least favorite coach in the whole league. I do not want to see them win this game. I want Doug Peterson to go into Philly and just stomp them, but I just don't see that happening. They're saying that ETN is probably going to play this week, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, I think that Tank Bigsby is the better running back this year and probably should be the starting running back going forward. But it's here nor there. I got Philadelphia winning this game easily. I don't think there's going to be a contest, and hopefully we don't have to see much of it on Red Zone.
Let's go, Jags.
Next game, 3:25 on Sunday. We see the 3-4 Los Angeles Rams traveling to the 4-4 Seattle Seahawks. The Rams are favored by 1.5 points, 48 point over under. 59% of the fan differential is on the Rams, and I am also picking the Rams because and then we texted about this earlier this week, feel like the Rams have turned a new leaf since they've gotten healthy. And that's really been my biggest complaint about the Rams in the first half of the season was they're just not healthy. And I mean, being at 3-4 and at this point, finally getting Cooper Kupp back and Puka Nacua back and Matthew Stafford still standing upright, and Kyren Williams does not get the credit he is due for being one of the top backs in the league. He's never in that conversation, and I think that he should start being in there because I think he's been also him and Stafford have held this team together.
Oh yeah.
I think they have this whole new confidence as well with being healthy, and Stafford can spread the ball around, and which is making the run game better. Seattle is the most wild card team in the NFL, though. You don't know which team's going to show up. You're going to get the team that showed up against the Bills and did nothing. You're going to get the team that showed up 2 weeks ago and just dominated. I can't remember who they played, but they went out there and I'm gonna look it up now.
Atlanta.
It was Atlanta.
Yeah.
Went out there and they beat Atlanta. You just don't know what team you're gonna get. But this being a division game, I think that the Rams are suited better for this game with the experience they have in multiple places on this team. Coach has been to the Super Bowl twice, and versus a rookie head coach, I think that the Rams have the edge over Seattle in this game, and 1.5 points is too low in my opinion. I also would take the over in this game at 48 because even though you don't know what team you're going to get from Seattle, they usually tend to score points. And there's another thing that the Rams are good at too. They're good at keeping up. So even if the Rams don't win this game, I still think we're going to get a high-scoring game. I think that's the only the way the Rams will lose this game is if it's a super high-scoring game, to be honest with you. So now I'm talking myself in a circle here.
I'll save you from that. I'm also on the LA Rams. This is the golden lock of the week. I will eat as many points as this goes to. It's actually gone down. When I looked it up, it was at -2, so it's already dropped a half point. I wouldn't be surprised if come kickoff, this game is almost closer to a pick'em. But everything Diesel said, 1,000% correct. The Rams, the boys are back together again. Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. My gosh, Matthew Stafford throwing 4 touchdowns. Hadn't thrown, I think he'd only thrown 3 all year, and he threw 4 in one game when he had all of his weapons back around him. Their offensive line is getting healthier again. That defense is not great, but Jared Verse is quietly making a great case for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Look up the stats, folks. I told you he was going to be great for this defense, and he has been. And yeah, I know that was 1,000% a face mask in the end zone, and Minnesota should have had a shot at least to tie the game back up. But remember, folks, they were still down by 8. It wasn't like it was only a 3-point game. Yeah. It was still an 8-point game. So they still had to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. It was not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. So don't
still want them to get it right, though, at the same time.
Exactly. I still say the Vikings should have had a shot, but I still think the Vikings lose that game regardless of that safety being called or not. The Rams are a team that I loved before the season started. They have had some health issues to start this year, but they are now getting healthy. I love Sean McVay as a coach. I love Matthew Stafford as a quarterback. This NFC West is wide open, and they could easily still make a run at it and win this NFC West. And it does start right here. They need to win this game against Seattle after getting stomped by Seattle way back in the early part of the season. So yes, give me the Rams. And with a golden lock of the week, I will eat as many points or as few points. But I love this game, and I love the Rams going forward for the rest of the year.
The craziest thing is, if the Rams wouldn't have had their bye, there's a good chance that they would be 4-4, along with Seattle, Arizona, and San Francisco. They're only a half game out of the division lead. And with all the diversity that they faced, adversity that they faced, throughout the beginning of the year, things are looking up. Los Angeles. I don't want to say it that way. I almost said St. Louis. I wish they still played in St. Louis. I really do. But yeah, that should be a fun game regardless, because it's a division game, and the NFC West games, division games, have been all pretty good so far this year. So, I mean, yeah, I have no idea who's going to win that division. It's totally up for grabs. The Cardinals could still win that division.
They really could.
I don't want that to happen, because then you would have been like, I told you.
Hope so.
Moving on to our last afternoon game, we have maybe even the game of the week. We have the 6-1 Detroit Lions traveling to the 6-2 Green Bay Mother-Loving Packers. Detroit is favored by 3.5 with a 38-point over-under.
I got it at 48.
What's that?
It's at 48.
Oh, then I typo. It makes more sense. I thought that was a little low.
Yeah, 38 would be way too low.
Yeah. I don't have a feeling this one's going to be a defensive struggle. 84% of the fan differential is on Detroit. I'm gonna let you go first in this one, because we all know who I'm taking. So.
Yep. I'm taking Detroit in this game. Don't get me wrong. I'm still very, very high on the Packers this year. I like them a lot. But this Detroit team, this offense that they are currently wielding like a giant dong and just slapping everyone's face in the NFL right now with it's scary, man. I don't want to be involved with it. It's you got to get away from it. Just close your eyes and hope for the best, because my God, Jared Goff didn't throw for 100 yards and he had 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery might have been the best quarterback in that game. I mean, they are playing with their food like a house cat does. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that this week. Don't get me wrong. This is the brand new lock that I am debuting this week, and we're calling it the Fantasy Fun Lock, because, folks, give me the over in this game. And also, for fantasy football, because we don't talk about it a lot on this show, but this is the game of the week, and I'm going to start trying to do it one game a week, where I think you need to get as many players as you humanly can from this game into your lineups, because there's going to be fireworks. I wouldn't be surprised once again if they put up close to 70 points combined on the scoreboard. And in those kind of games, you have to have as many fantasy players as you humanly can going. So with that, with the Fantasy Fun first time ever lock, give me the over of 48 points, and I will be taking the Detroit Lions to win in a shootout. But Diesel, tell me why I am wrong.
I'm not saying you were wrong. If I didn't have an 18-game lead on you, I probably would be taking Detroit in this. I feel like, since I have wiggle room, that I can risk this pick here and savor it if I'm right, if it does happen. I know that it's an uphill battle for the Packers to win this game, because Detroit is really good. And we don't even know who's going to be playing quarterback for Green Bay on Sunday. If I made the choice, I wouldn't start Jordan Love, just because you got your bye week coming up. He was in pain, even though it's a strain growing. What happens if that strain turns into something worse? why risk it? You're 6-2 right now, and yes, it's a division game, and this game could come down to the end of could come down to who wins the division. But I mean, I feel like the Packers are going to be in the playoffs, and I don't know, Detroit. It's going to be really hard to topple Detroit at the top of this division, anyways. But there's one thing Detroit hasn't done all year long, and that is play a game outdoors. Every single game they've played this year has been in a dome. And for some reason, I just feel like it's going to catch them off guard. I don't know why. And like you said, a cat toying with their food. Like, when does a team get caught? When they get too cozy. And like, the Packers aren't the Titans. The Packers, like, they will take the ball away from you. They're just as good as Detroit at taking the ball away. They also, even if Malik Willis plays, he gives them some like different energy. Like, it's different when he's out there. Like, he gives them the ability to run the ball more. Like, Josh Jacobs came alive once Malik Willis started playing, and just his scrambling ability, and like, he's pretty accurate as a thrower as well. It's like, Malik Willis will be a starter in this league again. It won't be next year because I don't see the Packers letting him go until his contract's up, because why would you get rid of a good backup when you have one? But like, for the first time in my whole life of being a Packers fan, I actually have confidence in a backup quarterback. Like, never in my life have the Packers actually had a good backup quarterback. And like, every time Aaron Rodgers went down, the Packers were awful. Malik Willis actually gives them a chance to win. And I think
what was that one guy for a couple of years? He went to Seattle, and then Russell Wilson stole his job.
Yeah, I mean, no, that was before. Oh yeah, no, Matt Flynn. You're right.
Matt Flynn, yeah.
I was thinking of another guy that we sent to Seattle, and Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah.
Another Matt.
Weird that they both went to Seattle.
Matt Flynn, yeah, I forgot about Matt Flynn. I don't know how I forgot, because he actually threw 6 touchdown passes against Detroit.
He did.
And Stafford threw 5 in that game. That game was nuts. I think it was the highest scoring game of all time.
It's crazy. No, the highest scoring game is still the shootout between Kansas City and the Rams.
Oh, I know. I remember what it was. It was the most combined passing yards between two quarterbacks, because they got up to, didn't they get over like 1,100 or something like that? Stafford had like 600 passing yards.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Like, Matt Flynn had like 506 touchdowns. It was nuts. And the Lions didn't have anything to play for.
No.
And neither did the Packers, because they sat Aaron Rodgers because they already locked down the number 1 seed. It was a crazy game. I don't know. Like, this is also for the first time in both of our lifetimes that the Lions and the Packers actually like really mean anything. Like, they, even though they've been in the same division my whole life, they've never felt like rivals. And this is like the first time they actually feel like rivals. And it's, don't get me wrong, I'm scared. I'm scared of this game because, yeah, the Lions probably are the best team in football. I mean, at least to this point, like, man, last week, what they did to Tennessee, I mean, granted, Tennessee is not a good team, but like,
they're still a professional football team.
They taught them a lesson. Like,
yeah.
Today you learned something. There is a price to be paid for being a good citizen.
They took them to the woodshed. Yeah, but I don't know. I just, like, I like this Packers team a lot. Not just being a Packers fan, but like, if I was an outside observer, like, just all the talent they have at wide receiver. Tucker Kraft, he underrated. Like, coming into the season, everyone's like, Luke Musgrave is the guy. Tucker Kraft is the blocking tight end. Luke Musgrave goes down. Tucker Kraft is outperforming anything that Luke Musgrave ever did. And I still think Luke Musgrave is a great tight end. Like, this team, and then the defense, Xavier McKinney, 6 interceptions. Evan Williams, like, ranked the top rookie safety in all of the NFL. Like, if they could get their line going and like get some more pressures, if they could get Kenny Clark and number 52, I can't think of his name right now.
Van Noy?
What?
Van Noy?
No, I mean Van Ness. Like
Van Ness, there we go.
He could get going too. No, I shouldn't be drawing a blank because he's a Packer.
I'm sorry, I'm not as great with the Packers roster as you are usually.
I know, but you know who he is because he's the highest paid player on their defense. Linebacker, number 52, Gary.
Oh,
Rashawn Gary.
There you go.
I don't know why. Like, I had to like think it out. Like, he needs to get going too. But like, this is the best defensive backfield the Packers have had in a long time. And one of the guys they have playing back there is Keyshawn Nixon, and he's just average. But like everybody else is above average. I could see the Packers, because the Lions like to go for it on fourth down and take risks. I could see the Lions not converting a couple fourth downs because of the Packers defense being so good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like I said, if I wasn't so far ahead in the picks, like I thought about this like earlier today, and I was almost gonna pick Detroit, but like since I'm so far ahead, I'm just gonna go on a limb and go with my team. But I don't think it's out of the realm that they could win this game, though. I do think they could win this game, especially with it being at home. And I mean, last year they traded wins, so. And look what they did to them on Thanksgiving last year, where they went into Detroit and just they railroaded them. So they can do it. They can do it.
Oh, they could. I think this game will be a shootout. I really do. I think Detroit has a few more just shots in the barrel, if you will, in this game. And I won't lie to you. I almost guarantee you I will be picking whoever loses this game to win the next game, because I think they definitely split this year. So
moving on to Sunday Night Football. And I can't believe the Indianapolis Colts got a Sunday night game before the Packers did. The Indianapolis Colts at 4-4, traveling to the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota's 5-2. Minnesota is also favored by 5. 46.5 point over under, and 94% of the fan differential is on Minnesota, and that is exactly why I'm taking Indianapolis. And I'm also taking Indianapolis because they got Joe Flacco starting, and this Minnesota team is falling apart at the seams. I think that loss to Detroit, like maybe like the cat scratch fever, like I think is gonna persist for a while. I think it's really getting into their heads. Like Indianapolis has weapons. They're just a really weird team. And that whole Anthony Richardson drama, like I totally understand why you would bench him. Like quarterbacks can't just take a break. You just can't do it. It's an unwritten rule. You can't like tap yourself out unless you're injured. And he just wanted to play off. And that tells me that you don't want this. And you know who does want this? 40-year-old Joe Flacco. And he plays his heart out every single time he gets out on that field. And he's better than he was even when he won a Super Bowl. Like, if Joe Flacco doesn't go into the Hall of Fame, then the system is rigged. Even though he's a mediocre quarterback, he still deserves it. I don't know. This is another one of my gut feelings. Minnesota is just, I've been saying it, they're fool's gold all year long. I had this gut feeling. I don't really have a good reason why Indianapolis should win this game, because they probably shouldn't. Minnesota on paper is the better team, but being on prime time, there's been a lot of weird things that have happened on Sunday Night Football this year as well. And maybe it's also just because I really want the Packers to be the only team to win in the NFC North this weekend. I don't know. I got Indianapolis.
Diesel, Minnesota is coming off their bye week. They have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison.
They're not coming off their bye week. They lost to the Rams.
Oh, they lost their not their bye week.
Mini bye.
They have a quasi mini bye. They played last Thursday. I apologize. They have TJ Hawk might be back this week. Sam Darnold has been playing pretty good. And all of these things are exactly why I agree with you, and I am taking the Indianapolis Colts in this game. Jonathan Taylor is going to run up and down the field on them. This Minnesota defense is very opportunistic. Don't get me wrong. And if Anthony Richardson was starting this game, probably would be taking Minnesota. But you know who doesn't really turn the ball over and has seen every defense that you can throw at him because he's 1,000 years old and he's been doing this since, anyone else in the NFL? Like when Anthony Richardson was, a kid, when he was born, Joe Flacco was already the high school, leading quarterback. Okay. So he's old, right? You can't throw anything at him that he hasn't seen before. And this Colts offense can definitely cook. Now, to just take a moment, I still believe in Anthony Richardson. Don't get me wrong. I do agree with you. Taking a play off for a quarterback is an unwritten rule. You shouldn't do it. You can't do it. It's not a good look. But also, I don't think it was as much I don't think he was quitting as much as he's just a fucking kid. He's 22 years old, okay? He is legitimately younger than the top 2 quarterback prospects who will be drafted this upcoming year. Okay, he is the youngest quarterback in the NFL by far. He is only a 1-year starter at Florida, and they played on a bad Florida team. This kid needs some coaching, but damn it, he has every skill set that he should be able to do this. And if this Colts team wastes him, and don't figure out a way to actually use Anthony Richardson, somebody else will. I will tell you that maybe it won't be with the Colts, and maybe it won't be for a few years yet, but in the next 5 years, Anthony Richardson will be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I promise you that. As long as somebody actually takes the damn time and does the work. But talk about what's actually happening right now. Joe Flacco is the better option, the best option for this Colts team. And in another wide open division where legitimately they could still easily win it, the Colts are in win now mode. And I think they beat the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football. And I don't think Minnesota's fool's gold, but I think they do get a little more of a slap in the face of reality when they get their 3rd loss after starting 5-0.
I'm not saying that I would give up on Anthony Richardson, if that's the way I made it sound. I'm just saying I agree with the benching. And I think that it's, in a way, it's kind of like, this is how you're going to learn your lesson, It's not a punishment, but it's almost tough love in a way, I bet you he won't do it ever again. And I also do feel like they've played better this year with Joe Flacco under center. And they're halfway through the season. Like I said, they're still in it. They're still in the hunt. And I think you just got to go with what's got you playing better. And Joe Flacco is the answer. And I'm not saying that the Colts should just get rid of Anthony Richardson, because like I mentioned earlier, we need to take more time with some of these quarterbacks and let them develop, and before we give up on them. And so he's probably one of those quarterbacks that, he has the talent, and you can tell it's raw. He's makes some of these throws where just standing still, flick of the wrist, bomb. He makes throws that I've never seen a quarterback make before. So, I don't want to give up on him either. I just feel like...
But then he can't throw a 5-yard out. He throws it into the ground, not a 5-yard out.
That is true. But Well, moving on to our final
Also,
game.
in case I didn't make it clear on that bonus lock, you can take those 5.5 points or really money line this game. You should get some good money on the Colts money line. So, in case I didn't make that clear for my bonus lock for that game.
All right, moving on. Final game of the week on Monday Night Football. We have the 4-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to the 7-0 Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 8.5, 44.5 point over under. 89% of the fan differential is on the Chiefs. If this game was 2 weeks ago, it would be a totally different story. But yeah, who do you got in this game?
Well, Diesel, told you there was a heart lock this week, and you were interested on what game it was going on. And it took all the way till the final game of the week. But boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, however you choose to identify, I'm riding with the cockroach. Give me Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks to pull off an absolute improbable shocker in Kansas City. Yeah, folks, I know that they are without Mike Evans. They are without Chris Godwin. Their running game is still next to nothing. And they still have one of the worst coaches in the NFL. But you know what? I can't tell you why. It's just something calls to me in this game. It calls to me. It's like Moana and the ocean. I can't get away from it. I kept trying to circle Kansas City on this paper. Like I was going for it every time. I was like, all right, it's gonna be Kansas City. And I couldn't do it. It was like liar, liar. With the pen is royal blue. I could not circle Kansas City. Tampa Bay is a weird squad. They still, with no weapons, put up a hell of a fight against the Atlanta Falcons and almost won that game. Kansas City really isn't that good this year, folks. Patrick Mahomes has looked like a maybe top 15 quarterback. He's thrown an interception in every single game this year and just doesn't seem to have it. And I know that Kareem Hunt has looked good for these past couple of weeks, but don't try and act like you don't think the wheels are going to come off of this 100-year-old running back as well. I know that Kansas City's at home. It's on Monday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes has an insane primetime record where he just doesn't lose in primetime football games. But I just can't get away from the cockroach. And so with the heart lock of the week, you can take the +9 if you want, or +8 or whatever it is. But I'm taking the money line, and I'm trying to make the real money on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the upset of the week. And also, just one more quick thing. You know that this has been the year of the dog, and there has been at least one huge upset basically every week this year. And at +8.5, come on, you know it's screaming for the script writer to go, Kansas City, you suck it.
I got Kansas City in this game. And I'm just going to tell you right now, I haven't got a Kansas City game wrong yet this year. I went Kansas City. I'm telling you, like I'm in tune with Kansas City. I'm telling you, we get to later in this month is when they're going to start stumbling. And I think that they're going to get some losses here soon. This isn't the week. And I say that every single week.
Say it every damn week. I hate it so much.
But I haven't been wrong yet.
Am I wrong?
It's a bit,
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole, Walter.
I promise you, they will not go undefeated. And they will have at least 3 losses. But this is not the week. Travis Kelce finally had a game. He had a couple of TDs and got some yards. We didn't even talk about how Sunday was National Tight Ends Day and set the record for tight end receptions. Like,
it was wild.
That is wild. And people are like, oh, it's rigged. It's like, no, maybe their quarterbacks realized what day it was and decided to feed their tight ends, which they haven't been doing all year long.
Yeah, or I mean, maybe just every NFL team finally looked at the tape and went, "Oh, maybe we should throw it to that guy who's across the middle of the field against the linebackers and safeties who are half their size." I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Man, tight ends went off this past weekend, which was a lot of fun to see. I actually enjoy National Tight End Day. I'm glad it's a football holiday. Tight ends don't get enough love, but yeah, this is not the week. I feel really bad, because Tampa Bay kind of just looked sad the way they were playing on Sunday, and they put up a fight, but they were playing Atlanta, which is a division team. But the way they were carrying themselves, they felt sad, and I feel sad for them because they were contenders week ago, and then all of a sudden, boom, nope. They basically, when it happened to the Rams, it was a good time for it to happen to the Rams. And now
neither was season ending.
Yeah. This is not a good time for Tampa Bay because it's going to be a lot harder to keep them together. This division is still winnable, but they got to win games. And I think it's going to be a lot harder for them to win games.
Come back to me next week after they win this game and you go, damn.
And if they win on Monday Night Football, I mean, I'll give you credit and be like, well, I got this one wrong. But I haven't got a Chiefs game wrong yet. And I just feel like this isn't the week. But it's going to happen. And it's going to happen. They're going to have a 3-game losing streak too. But then they're going to go hot into the playoffs, which is also really scary. This Chiefs team doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. But they just keep on getting lucky too, with the teams that they're playing. And it's going to catch up to them. The schedule is going to catch up to them. And it's happening. Yeah. So that's our picks for this week. But yeah, Chiefs' best friend, the referee. Stroud. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I like the matchups this week a lot better than last week's matchups. I feel like we're going to have a lot better games. I feel like there's a lot more evenly matched up teams, even New Orleans and Carolina. That feels like a fair matchup. I mean, you got a couple games where, I guess it's hard to say because we even differ on some of the games that I would even say is the Monday Night Football game, so I'm gonna count how many different we got here. What are your final thoughts?
I think we have 4 different games by my count. And my final thoughts are we picked a good week to go on by last week. I feel like we didn't miss talking about too much. And now I'm raring to go into the second half of this NFL season. And I just can't believe it's already week 9. I'm actually a little sickened by that fact that it's already, once again, half the NFL season is gone. And I don't know how. It's so fleeting. I'm glad I have hockey back, but geez, I hate how fast football goes.
Yeah, it's in a way, I do kind of miss my Sundays in a weird way. I get used to the off season and being
having
able
time
to do
to
other
run
stuff
errands
on Sunday. But at the same time, I just love watching football so much that I wouldn't be mad if it was year round and I would give up every Sunday to watch football. NFL football, I should say, because there are other leagues that I try to watch and it's just not as fun. And that's unfortunate because it's still football, but it's not the best competition. Or the best of the best. Yeah.
I think the USFL will be better this year. I'm excited for this year of USFL football.
Yes. Hopefully it is better. I'm glad that those 2 leagues merged. And I still think it's hilarious that their conferences are the XFL and USFL.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, but it's still hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And it's also hilarious that it's owned by The Rock.
Got a team named after him, the Brahmas. What the fuck's a Brahma?
I don't know. What's a bill?
Apparently it's a bison.
Yeah. Anyways, I got nothing else. So
Cool.
comment in the comment section what the hell a Bill is, or a Brahma, either one.
Or what you're going for is Halloween. Are you going as a Bill or a Brahma?
Or Macaulay Culkin as Joe Burrow.
Great costume.
Tom Grothy. Yeah. So also hit that thumbs up and give us a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload every week. And other than that, I don't have much more to say. So happy Halloween, happy week 9. Hopefully your picks and your bets are all successful, and we will see you next week. Can't promise you, but we'll try. But until then, let's watch some football.
Bye.
This has been a Visionaries Global Media production. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.